Good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing today? I'm doing this video right now. It's a follow-up for the previous video, and which has to do with the UFOs I observed about a week and a half ago. I just wanted to let you know that the following day, after I witnessed that following night, there was a UFO that was to the west of me, where they always show up. And he was there observing again, just watching. I kind of found that kind of uncanny, so to speak, because it's kind of coincidence that it shows back up the day after what I experienced. But yet not too surprising to me. And something else, I went and did a lot of research for the last week and a half on the said subject. And you'll be really surprised what I came up with. Now, the flight pattern they were using that night was coming directly from my west, as the other crafts that I have seen do so themselves. So, what I observed that night, they were all coming from my west, and they were heading to my northeast. Okay? So, the flight pattern is exactly how I said that it is. And at the flight pattern, they go right past Mount Shasta, and right to Mount Lassen, and then they go over Mount Lassen, because on the other side of Mount Lassen is the Nevada desert. As I'm doing my research, because I wanted to know how many Air Force bases were in my vicinity somewhere or near me, and what type of bases they were. Okay, I found a couple. And two of the bases I know for sure had all the capabilities to intercept if need be. Now, that night when I was experiencing what I was seeing, or basically what I saw in observation, there was not a single other aircraft of ours that was even in the vicinity, even in the area, period. Nothing. And even with our local airport, no commercial crafts or private crafts were up there at that moment either. Now, something very interesting during my doing this research, excuse me, I found that really hit me real quick, in a good way. I was looking at some some programs that might have did some documentaries on the said subject, and if any was ever caught on video. And I came across one, and it was on one of the shows. I think it was called The Unexplained. And I have seen this before. Anyhow, there was a documentary on Skinwalker Ranch. Now I know you all know all the stories of and the phenomena that occur Skinwalker Ranch. And specifically UFOs. They did this one segment and documented it where a group of researchers, very well known in what they do, in that type of phenomena, and they set up some cameras. And they actually, on one of the cameras they caught on video, a UFO that was in flight and disappeared in like a blink of an eye. Well, they that kind of stifled them, so to speak. And they say, and you would think yourself, like me, when I first experienced it, can't just disappear like that. There's reasons for it. Well, they had slowed down the video, so now you can actually see what really had happened. Every one of them that were there that night all confirmed that UFO disappeared into a vortex, or some like to call it a wormhole. And when I watched that segment, man, I'm telling you right now, it hit me like real quick. What I saw, what they recorded, is what I saw with the naked eye, period. As a matter of fact, they got to experience it being recorded, but was only one craft. I experienced 30 plus UFOs flying straight into that vortex. And in actuality, there was about another 5 crafts that I did not count that first went into it, because I was like, they can't just disappear like that. Where the hell are they going? But I was really, at the same time, really in deep observation of what actually was coming across the sky. And their flight pattern, as I always see it, they were not flying in a vertical manner. They weren't flying in a, what do you call, a vertical diagonal manner. No, they were coming across in a horizontal manner. And I sat there and I watched 30 of them disappear like that. It was real amazing to watch. They got to experience one, I got to experience 30 plus. So, as far as I'm concerned, that pretty much well sums it up right there of what I experienced and what I was observing that night of when they were just disappearing in this one vicinity above. It is a definite vortex. Now I know how they're getting here and disappearing. The flight path that I did research on my own, and I mapped it out, and it comes in to a triangle, because the flight, you see, is coming from the west, which is the coast, and I'm pretty positive at this point that because of where they're coming from, that they're coming from an underwater sea base for UFOs. And they fly right past, when they come in this direction, they'll fly right past Mount Shasta to Mount Lassen, over Mount Lassen, and on the other side of Mount Lassen, which I am approximately 7 to 8 miles from. And I'm basically, if I go out here and stand in the main street that gets to the properties up here, I'm facing Mount Lassen head on to the northeast. And on the other side of Mount Lassen, like I said, is the Nevada desert. There's a couple of air installations out there. Air Force. One of them out there is very, very well famous. I don't even have to mention it. I would advise you the previous video I did, the first comment by Babbitt, who actually is a good friend of mine, Joe. And what he had wrote on there is absolutely correct. Job well done, Joe. Well done. And there is no way at this point in time can I even conceive the thought that nobody that has access to radars picked that up that night. Now, what I kind of figure to what I think happened, what I feel about it, now at this point in time, and I've got a lot of time to think about it, it's almost as if it was allowed to happen. How can 30 plus UFO craft come into our airspace, especially through a vortex, and not be found? I don't I don't understand that part, because that's not gonna fit the equation for me. No, they know. They're just not saying nothing, and nothing has ever been said about it since. Now I did read there was a comment on the previous video, something about satellites being exerted up into the atmosphere. Well, sorry, the one who wrote that comment, that's not what I experienced and that's not what I saw, period. So, that is not what happened with me. I just wanted to clarify that. Now, and the other thing I don't is they're coming through this vortex, and they're basically coming and going and say, please, and how brazen can you be to boldly show that many crafts in our airspace? I mean, that's pretty frickin' brazen if you ask me. That's definitely interfering into our own airspace. So, that being said and done, I also wanted to let you know too that the following day after I had that experience, there was a craft over here, and like I said, it was watching me. It's watching this whole area. I also know that, like other areas of the Sierras where I've had experiences with UFOs, I know one thing is they're after the gold. Okay, we have gold up here. Buku gold's still there. Buku gold taken out. But nonetheless, we have gold up here. And I'm pretty sure I'm 100% correct that they are probably mining our gold for their own technology and probably for their own crafts. But I also believe they're here for other reasons. Now, for some reason, they do have a hell of an interest in volcanoes. Now, I watched another documentary on the world's hot spots on UFOs, and one of the objects that they're attracted to, more than most, are volcanoes. Now, believe it or not, one of the top volcanoes that was on that documentary was Mount Shasta. Okay? But I have a second question, is what is their interest in Mount Lassen? All of a sudden, it's like they have some big interest in Mount Lassen. Probably the gold and other, obviously, reasons. It could maybe I've also considered the thought that maybe these ETs may be a subterranean type of the world they come from. And what I mean by that, maybe they come from a devastated world or planet, say like Mars. Nothing lives on the surface. If there would be any life on Mars, my guess would be, without a doubt, would be below the surface, subterranean life. And the boys at NASA probably know I'm right on that one. Maybe these guys are them type of ETs, the world they come from. Maybe they live subterraneans, they're subterranean creatures. Maybe that is their other motive of having such an interest in volcanoes. And my guess is probably a few other things, probably a few other elements, maybe some other type of minerals or ores that they're mining is another plausible reason. Now, the other thing is this. A couple weeks ago I told you there was something on my roof. Alright? Now, at that same time, there was a craft off to my west where they always come from. When whatever was on my roof was there. And I'll tell you right now, the only way you got on my roof is from above. Not from the ground. So, at this point in time, I am about positive what was on my roof came from that craft. It was transported from the craft, and that's how it got to my roof. And obviously transported off back up to the craft. After there was nothing more going on with the so-called creature on my roof, I looked over to my west, the craft was gone. Whatever was on my roof was gone, the craft was gone. So, and it also hit a note to me too, because something similar to that happened to me not too long ago, right here. And if you don't mind, out of my Sierra project files, I wrote this down. I'll read it to you. And this happened this year. January 28, 2023. Last night on the 27th of January 23, at around 9 to 10 p.m., Steph was looking out to the back of our property and heard something walking around. A few minutes later, I looked outside from my rear porch and I saw a big bright light right in front of me. And around 60 feet in the sky. I could see it clearly through the pine trees. At first, I thought it was the moon in full, but it was not. The moon, at that time, was less than half a moon. The object was large, at least 50 feet in circumference, with a bright white light looming from it, as I always see. Also, I saw 3 to 4 different lights coming from the object. It also did not make a sound. It also was hovering, then started to move to my right, then disappeared. There is no doubt it was a UFO. What was it doing here? Big question that I need to be answered. Now, that being said and done, the next morning, because I'm full of snow, the next morning I went out there and walked around, and that is when I saw a multiple set of footprints I have never ever seen before, ever. I couldn't even match it to anything. And the other interesting part of that is there was no origins of the tracks. There was no exit of the tracks. It was like there, walked, disappeared. Like it appeared, walked, disappeared. I jilted it to the side of where I saw the craft looming at 60 feet up in the air. I know now, most likely, it probably has to be, it came from that craft. And how do you get down into the ground? Teleported it down there and back up, as the one on my roof. I'm a stickler on evidence, and the evidence on the previous incident and the last one seems to match. So my guess is they have been on the ground here, no doubt about it. So the only thing I could really say, I hope my neighbors up here stay vigilant. Be aware of what's above us, besides of what's around us. Be aware. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things. And the other thing is this, before I let you go. When I purchased this property, I had put myself I am in a position right in the center of all this going on. I could not have been in a more perfect spot. Couldn't ask for anything more. Now, but I will say this. Look at guys. My heart as a researcher is still in cryptology, okay, and anthropology. It always will be. But at the same time, I never did say that I'm ignorant about UFOs and that I don't know nothing about them, because I know more than you think I know, believe me. But I chose not to do any research on that. But now that I'm kind of caught in the middle on things, kind of leaves me no choice, doesn't it? So, but the good thing about this for me is and I alone, because I did not record it, I know where the vortex is. I know exactly where it's at, and I'm going to tell you, these ETs, they have the technology and they have the type of crafts where they could find these vortex or wormholes, because what they are, they're portals of travel. As I've told you before, on the portals we have down here on Earth, on soil, is doorways and gateways. I always said, another world into another world. And that's exactly what's going on with this. And that's what they're using it for. Because I do believe, absolutely, that there is another world within our world. But that, my friends, has nothing to do with UFOs. Different type situation, per se. So, that's what I've got. That's what I've gotten this far of the research on said subject. Okay, and I'm keeping an eye on everything. I'm really multitasking right now. I got my hands full, that's for damn sure. So, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. You guys take care. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.